By now, everybody knows that there's a hostage deal on the table, and I'm about to get into the nitty-gritty details of what we know about the hostage deal. But before we do, I think it's very important that I share not just my personal view on the hostage deal, but to share Torah, the Bible's view, because we have precedent for hostage deals. Arabs have been taking Jews hostage for years. Not only Arabs, by the way. Unfortunately, many other nations have been taking Jews hostage for years, and the Torah clearly deals with what is the proper way to deal with it. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the actual hostage deal, what I will tell you is this. There is a concept in Torah that you are, of course, allowed to redeem a hostage, but you are not allowed to pay an exorbitant amount of money or an exorbitant amount of other terrorists in exchange for your hostages. Why? Because this emboldens the enemy. This emboldens them to take more. When they see that when they take our people, we will do anything to get them back, including releasing dangerous terrorists back into our own society, it emboldens the enemy to just repeat the cycle of violence. Torah is very clear about this. You're allowed to redeem a hostage, but it could only be at a fair going rate. It cannot be what we're about to see in this hostage deal. So let me share with you exactly the nitty-gritty of what is proposed to take place. Again, a lot of people are speculating, but to our best assumptions right now, and this is according to the Jerusalem Post, I'm going to share with you what the hostage deal is going to look like. The Prime Minister of Qatar confirmed that 33 hostages will be released, women and children first, followed by female soldiers, then men over the age of 50, and young men who are defined as humanitarian crisis. In exchange, Israel will release 2,000 convicted terrorists, including 250 who have been sentenced to life imprisonment. In addition, Israel released about 1,000 terrorists captured after October 7th. So that means 33 hostages are being released for roughly 3,000, you heard it, 3,000 convicted terrorists in Israel. And this would fall into a situation where they're giving up too many people. They're giving up too many terrorists for the amount of people that they're releasing. Now, I want to look at it on the bright side, okay? I want to look at it on the positive side because this is not coming from a place of stupidity. It's not coming from a place of ill will on the side of the Israelis. Quite the opposite. Jewish people are so compassionate, so kind, so caring. Imagine the amount of people. These are not just, by the way, people. This is not a regular, prisoner swap here. We're talking about 33 innocent people that were taken out of their homes maliciously in the middle of the night. These are women, children, babies, men who have nothing to do with the situation, were taken innocently out of their homes. And they're being in exchange for terrorists who are sentenced to life imprisonment, who have already gone through the judicial process. But Israel and Jews are so compassionate that they're willing to put themselves in danger to redeem life. You have to understand, this sends a big message to the world. Judaism fundamentally worships life and abhors death. It worships freedom. It worships the proper treatment of its people, dignity, life, values, rooted in goodness and kindness. That's where they're negotiating from. Unfortunately, who they're negotiating with are coming from negotiating a place of death. They're negotiating from a place of terrorism. They're negotiating from a place of where they don't appreciate life. And this is who our negotiating partners are, unfortunately. And this is at the crux of the whole dilemma. Israel, by the way, is split. You have half of the country that really supports this hostage deal, and you have half of the country that is vehemently opposed to it and against it. You have some Israelis that are thinking with their minds, with their brains, that are saying, if we give up 3,000 terrorists for 33 people, then we're just going to be in this vicious cycle forever. And you have some Israelis that are thinking with their heart and saying, how could I deny the Bibas family? How could I deny them their 1-year-old and 2-year-old and 3-year-old children who have been in captivity for over a year and a half? And that's at the crux of the whole debate that's going on in Israel. Torah clearly defines what is right and what is wrong in this situation, but it's worth noting that even though it may be the wrong decision. And even though it goes against Torah, you still have to understand the compassion of the Jews, and it still is something to be respected and something to be admired by the whole world. So I'm going to outline for you the phases of this deal aside from the hostages. So, of course, phase 1 is the release of the hostages, the 33 at the beginning. And then that last 42 days, some IDF presence will still be in the Philadelphia corridor. That is the corridor between Egypt and between Gaza. So there still will be some IDF presence there. Phase 2 will be talks on more hostages released, and further RDF withdrawals will start on day 16 of the deal. Security protocols for Palestinian returnees to northern Gaza. So right now, the Gazans are not in the northern part of Gaza. Part of this deal will allow for their return. And phase 3 is all hostages will be released, and IDF will withdraw fully, but only after the full freedom of the hostages. This is what we know right now. The situation is rapidly changing. It's very fluid. It's very complex. Nobody has all the answers. There's obviously pressure from the United States. There's obviously pressure from Qatar. And all I could say is, may the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob guide our leaders for what is best for the Jewish people.